Hello, today we will discuss English nouns. In this lesson, I'll help you identify common misconceptions and break down the key grammar rules. So let's begin by first talking about what is a noun. If you look up the definition in the dictionary, you'll usually find something like this. A noun is a word that represents people, places, things, or concepts. Honestly, figuring out how to categorize nouns is pretty straightforward. And let's be real, you know what a noun is by instinct. What's more important than the definition of a noun is what they do and how they function. In other words, we need to know how English nouns differ from those in your native language. In general, English nouns can be further categorized into 8 types: countable and uncountable nouns, common and proper nouns, concrete and abstract nouns, as well as compound and collective nouns. Let's look at each type of noun with examples. First of all, English nouns have the attribute of number, distinguishing between singular and plural forms. If your native language is also an Indo-European language, you'll likely be familiar with this concept. However, if your native language doesn't make this distinction, like Chinese or Japanese, where nouns usually have just one form, then the first thing you need to do is get used to it. Based on the attribute of number, English nouns can be divided into countable and uncountable nouns. Uncountable nouns typically exist only in the singular form, like water, information, while countable nouns can have both singular and plural forms like apple, apples, car, cars. In the upcoming lesson, we will discuss more about the grammatical rules for countable and uncountable nouns, as well as the rules for forming plurals. For now, let's focus on other types of nouns: common nouns and proper nouns. Common nouns are words that refer to general items, people, places, or concepts, rather than specific ones. Unlike proper nouns, common nouns are not capitalized unless they begin a sentence. Let's break this down with a few examples. When we talk about a person, we might use words like teacher, artist, or doctor. These are common nouns because they refer to general roles or professions, not to specific individuals. Next, we have places. Common nouns for places include words like city, park, or school. Again, these are broad terms that describe types of locations without mentioning any particular city, park, or school by name. We also use common nouns to talk about things. For example, book, computer, and chair are all common nouns. Lastly, common nouns can describe concepts or ideas. Words like love, freedom, or idea are abstract concepts that we all understand, but don't refer to anything or anyone in particular. In contrast to common nouns, which describe general items or categories, proper nouns refer to particular people, places, organizations, or things, and they are always capitalized no matter where they appear in a sentence. For example, while city is a common noun, Tokyo is a proper noun because it names one particular city. Similarly, book is a common noun, but Harry Potter is a proper noun, naming a specific book series. Here are a few examples: Emily, Albert Einstein, New York City, Mount Everest, Google, NASA. Now let's quickly go over how to use articles like a, an, and the with common and proper nouns. You can't use the indefinite articles a or an with proper nouns. For example, you would say, John is my friend, not a John. This rule applies to all proper nouns. Whether it's a person like Emily, a city like Paris, or a landmark like the Eiffel Tower, you won't use a or an before these names. However, we can use the definite article the for both common and proper nouns. Here's an example with a famous landmark. Correct. Over there is a tower. Incorrect. Over there is an Eiffel Tower. Correct. Over there is the Eiffel Tower. Correct. Over there is the tower. Concrete nouns, abstract nouns. Concrete nouns are words that refer to things that can be perceived through the 5 senses: sight, hearing, touch, taste, or smell. These nouns represent physical objects or substances that exist in the real world. They are tangible and can be experienced directly. Some examples of concrete nouns are teacher, doctor, friend, city, park, school, book, chair, apple. Concrete nouns contrast with abstract nouns, which refer to concepts or ideas that cannot be physically touched or seen, like love, happiness, or freedom. There aren't any specific grammar rules that apply solely to concrete or abstract nouns themselves. However, it's important to note that abstract nouns are typically uncountable and usually exist in the singular form. For example, we say happiness, freedom, and love without using a or an, as these nouns represent intangible concepts or feelings. In contrast, concrete nouns can be both countable or uncountable, and we will explore the grammar of concrete uncountable nouns in the next lesson. So, for now, we'll focus on understanding the role of abstract nouns and how they generally function in the singular form. Compound nouns and collective nouns. Compound nouns are nouns that are formed by combining two or more words, often from different parts of speech, to create a single noun with a new meaning. For example, the words tooth and brush combine to make the compound noun toothbrush, which refers to the item used for cleaning teeth. There are three main types of compound nouns. Closed compound nouns. These are written as one word, with no spaces or hyphens. Examples include toothbrush, notebook, and football. Hyphenated compound nouns. These use hyphens between the words. Examples include mother-in-law, check-in, and runner-up. Open compound nouns. These are written as two separate words, but function together as a single noun. Examples include post office, swimming pool, and ice cream. What you need to keep in mind is that compound nouns can only take one of the three forms mentioned above. Just remember each one as you encounter them. Collective nouns are words that refer to a group of people, animals, or things considered as a single unit. While the individual members of the group can act separately, the collective noun treats them as one entity. Some common examples of collective nouns include people, family, group, team, crew. Animals, flock of birds, herd of cows, pack of wolves. Things, bunch of bananas, collection of books, set of tools. Now let's summarize what we covered. In this lesson, we discussed 8 types of nouns in English. But remember, these classifications are based on different dimensions, so a single noun can belong to multiple subcategories at the same time. From a broader perspective of language comparison, the most important classification of nouns is actually by number. That's why we'll have 2 separate lessons coming up to specifically cover countable and uncountable nouns, and plural nouns in English. As for the other subcategories, they're mainly there to give you a general understanding of concepts so you won't get confused by the terminology. You can check out the links for the full version of our English course in the video description or in a pinned comment, where you can not only access all the lessons on English learning and other language courses, but also practice with our quiz and join our community. Finally, if you found this video on the various types of nouns useful, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you'll be notified right away whenever I upload new videos about English learning. Wishing you an amazing day.